Hello guys and welcome to the part 3 of our video series Max Exploit of the Pool. Uh, Today I worked on small blind versus big blind and I get an idea to make a video about exploit of the pool in situations small blind versus big blind. Uh, I did promise we're gonna go in position C bet, but I just feel it's a good opportunity to go now to the small blind versus big blind and next to the big blind versus small blind and then come back to the in position C better. Um, this is the mid-stake pool of Poker Stars, and we're gonna now actually see how they play. Um, Generally, they raise 42% small blind versus big blind, which is near GTO. You can go bigger, you can go like 50%. Fold versus 3 bet, I think these are the normal numbers, so we don't need to go through them. Just to have an idea about the range that's calling 3 bet, around 16% of a range is calling a 3 bet. 6%, around 6% is 4 betting. Fold versus 5 bet, around 41%. Um, Now let's get into the real stuff. How people actually play smaller versus big blind. I see on my pool a lot of people playing it differently. A lot of guys has high c-bet frequency, some has low c-bet frequency. Um, so by this way, we will actually see how pool mixed together plays. So generally, the c-bet frequency is 51% smaller versus big blind. We talk in the video out of position see better. On many boards, when you're out of position, you're playing against really narrow range. You want to be betting a lot less, so you need to have a really low c-bet frequency, around 20-30%. But generally, when you're small blind versus big blind, small blind will have on many boards a really heavy range advantage, and you can bet a lot more. So this is not unusual to go like 50, 40, 50, 60% out of position, small blind versus big blind. It is common, and on many boards you will see bet really a lot. You will mix a lot of sizes. So I think these numbers are okay. So we can have an idea how pool plays. We see that CBET is 51%. Now we're gonna go just to see generally if we can take any conclusion. Basically, we see that the pool is 50% weak across all the boards, so people will bet a lot of weak hands in these situations. They will mix sizes, so 1/3 will be weak, 2/3, 3/4 will be weak, even pot will be weak. So basically, their bluffs are across all the sizes, so and across all the boards. We see that ace low rainbow is being bet a lot as a bluff, ace low connected, ace Broadway X, ace Broadway X to tone, king XX, queen XX, low boards, etc. So across all the boards, pool is bluffing in this situation, and we just need to know because the ranges are wide, people will bet us all sorts of hands. Uh, when we go to the double barrel, let's see how situation changes. Um, Actually, we see that people double barrel uh, less frequently than with bluffs, but still we have around 40% of weak hands. And if we go through some boards, let's say ace low rainbow, we still see that people have some complete trash in the range, gut shot draws, but mainly it's gonna be hands like equity, some no equity, but a lot of equity, like gut shot draws, flush draws, pair into bluffs, middle pair for value protection, top pairs plus. Let's go a little more of the boards to see. We see that pool actually has no equity bluffs, uh, but a lot of their double barrel range will be like gotcha draw plus. These are ace low connected, ace Broadway X again. The same situation is happening. Pool is betting their strong hands. They're mixing with bluffs, some no equity bluffs. Uh, Ace Ace Broadway, a lot of draws, gut shots. King XX, we see even trashy hands like Jack 9 double barreling, Queen Jack. So we have blockers betting without equity. Uh, mm, Hands like queen nine for whatsoever reasons. Again, we see a blockers betting queen jack, blocking the king queen and king jack of the opponents. We see some double barrels on the scary cards. But the point is that pool has bluffs, even complete no equity hands, some blocker plays, ace highs on the king xx boards. Um, on three broadways, we see that at least here there is no that many bluffs, but still it's not that big of the sample. Two Broadway rainbow, ace highs, but still, again, gotcha draws are most of the range plus pairs. So basically, what we can take as a conclusion here, this is Jack XX rainbow. We see trash, we see ace highs. So ace seven gonna be betting for eight Jack. The turn will be king and uh, pool is double barreling on these type of turns, like scary cards like Jack 8-5, like Queen, King, Ace. On this scary card pool will be double barreling, but generally when we see this, we're gonna see that actually pool is double barreling as a bluff quite frequently, and a lot of their range. Small blind versus big blind is uh, like some no equity, some hands like ace highs on the, for example, queen xx, king xx boards, jack xx boards. Then we see like gotcha draws, flush draws, turning some pairs into bluff, etc. So we actually see that pool is still in double barrel. In double barrel has a lot of bluffs. Um, I would say that monotone boards, out of all of these boards, monotone boards are most I will not say like under bluff, because their bluffs on a monotone board will be basically a draw. And most of them will be actually a flush draw, where people will just double barrel this. All kind of flush draws going to be mostly double barreled, but compared to other boards, monotone boards are actually most under bluff. So in that monotone board, you don't have that many like complete trashy hands without like sense. People here are, let's say, equity driven in these spots. And when we go to the triple barrel, situation actually changes a lot. Um, this is small blind versus big blind. The ranges are wide. People bet almost 50% of the range is weak on the flop. 40% is weak on the turn. But when we come to the river, guys, it's actually not that too much bluffs. Uh, they are basically under bluffing in those spots. Uh, let's now go through see all the sizes. Basically, the sizes that are most value heavy is actually the lowest sizes. Uh, when we are going through the a video that I made for poker strategy, actually I saw that block bets are the most underbluffed bets in all of the across all the sizes. So people don't bluff enough with small bets. Um, we actually see that in here, but we also see that people with three barreling are not basically bluffing that much, and across all boards we don't have that many bluffs. So most of the times they will be just betting for value. They will be betting like medium pairs, uh, or let's say in this situation uh, it's actually king queen. Let me just uh, put it here so you can better see. Like this is not the bluffs. This is like a block bet for value on the river, where guy just bets one like 27 28% on the river with the middle pair. So this area is actually not bluffs. uh, Bluffs are like this 12%. uh, we see here on the ace low connected around 10% of bluff, and this missed draw like 23% of bluffs. Ace Broadway X around 16% of weak hands. We actually have it here. Ace Broadway X 15%. The people will bluff here like trashy hands that they double barrel and they, for example, have like 10 high, 9 high, 8 high, they will just bluff it. But generally, it will be low frequency. And when we're faced triple barrel, actually in this spot, we should be, especially on the ace xx board, overfolding. Um, Other boards like king xx, it's not that much of difference. We still see that it's around 30% of bluffs, uh, and generally that is, I mean, it's low. It's lower than I expected, and when you just think that the pool consists of all sorts of players, and you will have aggro fishes here, aggro whales. Um, this number is actually, it's not that big, you know. People triple barrel small blind versus big blind on A6X, lower than 20% is a bluff. They bluff like three Broadway rainbow. Basically, there's no bluffs at all. Uh, three Broadway two tone no bluffs, two Broadways really leg bluffs. So I guess people on that boards that doesn't change the structure like ace xx boards, then like two Broadway X when the runners just go blank brick. I guess in these spots people will gonna leg bluffs or by far, because in these spots when you call two times and they're on the river now and you just called and the like board is king queen seven or queen jack five, or ace of 4 7, and you're on the river and you're just gonna be faced a lot with the top pairs, and people are not that happy bluffing into top pair. They just feel they're gonna be called a lot, and I would say the most underbluffed spots are on these static boards. um, we see like Queen XX, two Broadway Rainbow, three Broadway, 11, 15, 20% bluffs. So basically, people who rarely bluff you there. We see a little more bluffs in the 30% area on these three in a row low boards, and we can just see uh, people will bluff more. You see here, King is on the river, and people all in this situation, I guess, most of their bluffs will be used on these scary cards. Like you see, basically, it's definitely a situation. Uh, they basically use most of the times this like queen jack ace. So on these low boards, when this like overcard comes and they feel they can just rep that overcard, people will continue betting it. But even in this situation, it's not like that big. It's not like 50% weak, it's only 30%, so one third is a bluff. And especially monotone boards are by far, if people triple barrel in an ace monotone, uh, king to jack monotone, and basically even lower 10 monotone boards, they will just have the hand. You see, like monotone boards with triple barrel small blind versus big blind are mostly underbluffed. Okay. Now we see that small blind, when small blind c-bets, he actually folds a raise decent amount of the time. We see flop is folding 43%, turn is folding 49, and river 53. So definitely, it's you want to raise them. Basically, we see they have a lot of bluffs on the flop, 50 to 60% bluffs across all the boards. Uh, so they will put a lot of bluffs. You want to also in position raise them, because if you're not raising them, then all of their hands that are bluffing without equity or like overcards with some equity, they can just hit. They can just uh, like double barrel you. So there's a lot of sense in raising hands like gut shots. Um, Especially on the boards that favors big blind. So I would say on the boards that favor big blind, mostly like low boards favor big blind, low connected boards where big blind has all bunch of straights, all bunch of two pairs. On this type of boards, you need to raise them really frequently, because generally they fold to raise 43%. On these boards they'll fold even more, and then your like hands like a gut shots, you don't want to raise like open enders or like many full equity hands. You want to put more bluffs. This is like pool exploit, not general strategy. Just pool exploit. You're gonna put these lowest equity hands like a gut shots. You want to raise them more against this type of the pool. Um, on the flop, we see that they fall 43%. On the river, 53. Um, we saw in the also other video that generally people on the river are really, and across like even on the turn and the river, they overfold to raises. So definitely on the river, here's 53%. It's not that high, uh, but you know you're gonna have here sticky players. You're gonna have fish players that are not gonna fold like top pair ever on the river raises, but generally pool 53% on the river. Um, yeah, you in sometimes you just want to put them on the test. Um, so it's always good idea to do it. Um, Now let's see delay cbets. I always felt delay cbet is a lot of value, and when we go to the delay cbet, we actually see differently. I felt that on many situations, people on the boards, especially boards that are good for them, like ace xx boards, that their delay cbet will actually be way stronger, because I thought, okay, people will just like put a lot of bluffs in cbets, but it's actually not that correct, because we see like ace low rainbow, which should be a high cbet frequency spot, smaller versus big blind, we see that people are delaying like a lot of hands like trash, complete trash, gut shots, draws. They still have bluffs in this spot, you know, complete trash hands. You see, like, let me just pull it here that you will better have, okay, that you can see it better. Let's again go to delays. Okay, ace low rainbow, and now we're here. You see, like ace deuce three, high frequency spot, ace 8 7, ace 5 6, and he didn't put like queen 8 or jack 8 or jack 9 into c bet, he put it in the delay c bet. Queen 9, ace deuce 4, king 8, ace deuce 7. All of these are high cbet frequency spot, and the people, the pool, is actually putting them into the delays. So this was my mistake. I actually felt it in game, and I wanted to go through this spot. I did give, in my opinion, too much um, credit to delay c bets, small blind versus big blind, because definitely people are actually bluffing it a lot. You see, like they put like king 9 on ace 5 4 7. They're gonna put king highs, queen highs. They didn't see bet. They will just put it into the delay c bet spot. So definitely something you should be also aware. They delay c bet is bluffy. Let's now go delay c bet and bet river, and here's actually a surprise, it's still bluffy. You see, they will just bet this trash that they bet. Miss Trash, you know, they have Jack High, they will bluff it on the river. They delayed, we called, they will bluff it. Queen Deuce suited, they will bluff on the river. Jack 9, they will bluff on the river. King Queen, like even King High in this spot, they will bluff on the river. Jack 10, bluff on the river. So actually, delay Cbet and bet river is bluffy, even on like ace xx, which is like surprising to me, but it's bluffy. It seems like they didn't Cbet ace xx. They didn't Cbet even its high frequency spot. They put it in the delay, and now they'll just put it on the river, because maybe they feel that people will generally have poor check behind range, and they will just feel okay, they'll never have an ace, they will stab ace, which is definitely not correct. But I feel maybe that is perception of the pool. So definitely that this will help you in this situation when you are big blind versus small blind, and you are playing this type of the pool. the guys will bluff you there. Ace XX boards, it seems most bluffiest when they which is counterintuitive to me, because I felt okay, if it's high frequency spot and you're gonna see it like 80 and 90% of the time, why wouldn't you put all the bluffs also there? But seems that pool is trying to be tricky in these spots, mainly because of the perception that people will have poor check behind ranges, in my opinion. And we see that actually ace xx boards are most bluffiest in the delay bet river line. Um, Basically, even the other boards we see high 30%, high 30%. You see like bluffing ace highs, missed draws, missed trash, complete trash is there. Again, ace highs, complete trash is there. Uh, Again, missed trash, complete trash, ace highs. Ace highs bluffing in this spot. Yeah, it's just a line that is actually bluffing. Okay, now let's go to the check, check, check bet line. Let's see when it's triple checked, how many bluffs people have. And still we see high 30, 50. So even that line, people will just, when they didn't bet for the two times small versus big blind, they'll just go for it on the river. Uh, m- you know, that's also a perception that people will have, and people definitely have really bad check, 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 check range. So Pool is aware of that, and Pool is trying to exploit this situation. We also see here check, 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 bet, fold. That means that when they're folding like 70%, uh, it's telling you that even in that line, you should be bluff raising them and be aware that they actually bluff these situations. Um, Now let's see their check fold. Their check fold is 40%. Check raise strength, we again see on the flop they are bluffy. Uh, Basically, we see across all boards all sorts of weak hands, even complete trash. Even on the ace xx boards, when they check raise, all the bluff. King xx bluffs. King xx again draws complete trash 27% of time. Two broadways rainbow. People have like complete trashy hands, queen highs, king queen, like blocker plays. So definitely smaller versus big blind check raise is bluffy. 50% is bluffy. Check raise on the turn has a lot less bluffs, more value, and check raise on the river is basically always a nuts. Check fold of the river is pretty high, so basically when they double barrel and check on the river, this is the spot you want to be attacking because they will be folding way too much. Um, Check call, check fold 44. Uh, Check call, check call, check fold 52%. So they're defending these lines correctly. Check call, check, check bet line. I want to see. I don't expect it to be bluffy, and it's not bluffy. So basically, that indicates when they see bet. Um, when they check all the flop, like on the ace xx, you see actually that they are in these spots. I would say let's actually go to see check all on the flop. You see, when people check all on the ace xx, they're basically they're not calling like without equity. They're calling with draws, with low pairs, middle pairs, but there is no air, no, not much air. And generally, from what we see, people check all ranges. Small blind versus big blind is strongest on the ace xx board, on the king xx board. Let's see, queen xx. Okay, queen xx and jack xx are actually the weakest, but ace xx and king xx, their check all range is the strongest. And when we go now into the check all check bet line, because their check all ranges is the strongest, they will not have many bluffs because their range is strong and they will just bet river with that top pairs that they call on the flop, or like good middle pairs, they will block it. But generally, you see like ace xx and king xx actually has the most value in, but generally across all the boards, it's around like 35, 30 to 35% weak. So generally, when they check call, check bet, they're gonna be like decent, especially in the. Just remember, ace xx and king xx, they're the strongest. On other, they have more bluffs. like they will turn some hands into bluff. For example, if they call on a queen xx or jack xx, they'll probably turn some ace highs into bluff on the river. Um, c-bet check bet line. Again, this is something I did think actually small versus big blind it's gonna be more value heavy, but actually pool is having a decent amount of bluffs in the bet check bet line. Uh, let's see what what type they will have. So, for example, we see here king 7 on the ace 6 7, small bet check check, and on the queen turning into bluff 5 6 bet on the flop check check on the turn. So generally, people in this situation will just bluff when they see it like air on the high bit frequency spot and the turn is check check. They will just turn that air into bluff. So definitely, I thought players bluff less, but we see like on the ace xx they actually bluff it like around 30 to 40%. Ace x 45% weak, so they will turn everything into bluff there. King xx 32% weak. uh, Generally, we see especially like monotone boards now, they'll turn basically everything into bluff that they checked call on the flop. So definitely these monotone boards in these lines are weak. Uh, so yeah, bet check bet line is bluffy. I would say not that bluffy, but bluffier than I expected. Um, I also want to show you a really cool thing here, how pool plays smaller versus big blind when the flush hits the turn. When the flush hits the turn, they actually are just bombing with draws. Just remember that. Uh, when the when the flush hits on the turn, they'll just bet like every draw on the ace xx board. Like every draw they have, they will just bet it. Like you see, or like 40-50% of like a draw is going to be bet. uh, King xx, like all these static boards is still going to be bet, and low boards is going to be also bet. So generally when flush hits, people will be like draw heavy. This is like blue color indicates draws, and this is like draw heavy. You see, draw heavy is so people actually in these spots are not that range aware. Uh, they will like over barrel in these spots with the draws, and you need to be aware of that. And when let's see a river actually, when flush hits on the river, they actually will uh, they not now basically on the turn they can still get there, and on the river it's over, and they will do a lot of give up. So on the river when they triple, you see basically king xx, king broadway x, three broadways, ace xx. It's gonna be rarely a bluff in these situations. So yeah, definitely something cool to know, that people actually will double barrel a lot even when flush hits on the turn, because small versus big blind ranges are wide. They will just double barrel it frequently, but on the river, you want to give them more credit. Okay, now let's go fastly to the small blind call tribet. So this situation when a big blind tribet small blind calls tribet. We want to see also how pool play in that situations. Fold versus cbet 38, 44, 49. So definitely decent defense frequency in these situations, and uh, I want in that situation see their check raise, and their check raise is again on the flop they're bluffy. Always remember that on the flop they're bluffy, and let's actually see in these situations. Let's actually see on which boards are they bluffy. They're still bluffy on the ace xx. Uh, you see like ace low connected, gut shots, draws, uh, pockets into bluff, like fours, like fives there, low pairs into bluff. So check raise on the ace xx, it's gonna have more than 50% of bluffs. Um, uh, Check raise even on the like two broadways, gonna have bluffs. We see that actually three broadways are most underbluffed, but generally like uh, Ace XX, especially Ace XX two tone, King XX two tone, it's gonna have bluffs. Uh, Two broadways two tone, gonna have a lot of draws. Uh, Basically, flop is bluffy. They'll across all basically across all uh, boards it's gonna be bluffy. I would say again it's on this uh, like 4-6-7, 8-6-9. We see a lot of bluffs on these runs, like gut shots, flush draws, again gut shots, open enders, flush draws. So basically, these boards will be mostly bluffy because people will gonna over check raise with the flush draw there for sure. And what is interesting, that actually now the monotone boards are the most underbluffed. So when you face check raise, small versus big blind, on monotone boards, you will need to give them more credit because these boards will actually be most underbluffed, and all of the other boards will have really a lot of bluffs, around 50% across all the other boards, because these monotone are the most monotone ace x boards, monotone king to jack boards, and monotone 10 and below boards. All are underbluffed, and people just have it when they check raise. Okay. Um, we see that on the turn situation drastically changes, and on the turn, like when they check raise on the ace xx, it's gonna be really weak, and monotone is gonna be never weak. On the turn when they check raise, it's gonna be always nuts. And checkers on the turn, we can just say it's really value heavy, and on the river it's even more value heavy. I want to see like check raise flop and bet turn. You see like when a checker is flopped, it's still gonna bet these draws on the turn, which is actually, people. I see a lot of people on my pool just call a check raise on the flop and just fold it on the turn, and actually people just bluff these spots. Even like on the ace xx, when they check raise, they're continuing with that draws. They have a draw. Ace low connected, they're gonna continue betting it on the turn. They have a flush draw, like gut shot, like open ender, or even on the king xx, you see like they're crazy with continuing on that. So basically, I would say in these spots, uh, people are like they check raise with that flush draw. They're just gonna bet it on turn most of the times. And let's see how much they continue on the river. And you see, uh, check raise flop. This is a situation where check raise flop and bet turn and bet river. Uh, on the ace low, ace Broadway, never bluff. On the king XX, it had the bluffs, turning some like ace highs into bluffs, missed draws. But generally, I would say this is the spot where they will just have it most of the times. So checkers flop is bluffy. They will continue turn a lot, but when they call him two times there, they will just give up a lot on the rivers. I want to see also check. We said that the check raise turn range is really strong. Let's see now check raise turn bet river, and there is no big surprises here. Actually, we see they will rarely be across all the boards 0% weak, and on some boards they bluffed like one of the two times. But generally, this line, because their turn range is really strong, they will just be on the river really strong again. And uh, like when you're faced that situation, you should be overfolding there. Okay, to go into the four bet pots, I mean, uh, we see like smaller versus big blind. So big blind 3 bet, small blind 4 bet. We see flop C bet 79%. Basically, on most of the boards, people bet range. So let's see, like you see, if you're betting range, you're gonna have a lot of weak hands, of course. And when you're double barrel here, uh, double barrel in 4 bet pot, uh, they still have bluffs like king xx. They're gonna bet ace highs like ace 10 on the turn, ace 9 on the turn. Uh, I would say the biggest over bluffed spot are king xx in the forward pots. So it's definitely like that because people they know they have advantage. They'll bet the flop always. They will bet turn a lot with really weak hands. Um, Again, it's not surprising that actually ace xx boards are the most underbluffed in this situation because yeah, people just they're basically afraid to bluff these spots, and they have a lot of ace xx hands, and they're just not even like trying to be bluffing them a lot. And also they're scared when people just call a bet. They will often have that ace x in their perception, so they'll just not gonna bluff. But on the king xx, they will turn this ace x ace highs into bluffs. And basically, from what we see, even on the queen xx or jack xx, we see that pool is bluffing this situation. Jack xx again bluffing a lot. Um, so generally, for what we see that in double barrels, they still have bluffs, but when situation comes to river, guys, it's pretty simple. In four bet pot, basically they rarely triple barrel it as a bluff. On the ace xx, it's gonna happen really rarely. And you see like all these bluff on the king xx, king broadway x, all of these bluffs, and zero is weak. So definitely when they triple it in a four bet pot, I in this situation, me personally, I really underfold, and from what I see against the pool, I should be folding a lot more, because people are just gonna be like bluffs. Um, they're gonna be bet flop turn, but on the river they will do a lot of give ups, uh, and you see their check fold on the river is 75% on these four bet spots. So definitely you need to give them a lot more credit in these situations. Um, and to remember like this actually these king high boards are the most bluffed as with no like low equity with ace highs on the turn or like blockers play, but on the river actually we like bluffs. Um, that would be for today. I think this personally helped me a lot. I did give credit to a lot of players in my pool just based off my feeling, and until I didn't go to the range research with my breakthrough HUD, I couldn't have like statistically argumented that I was wrong or correct. And I just had a feeling, okay, especially in these delay lines, people are just value heavy, but they're not. They delay a lot as a bluff, and they're continuing, especially on this like ace xx board, king xx boards, the boards where I felt they're gonna see it as a bluff a lot, but actually when they have like complete trashy hand and they didn't see it, they will just put it always into delay see it and actually continue decent amount on the rivers. So always also take that in the mind. It helped me in my game because I started to calling them really lightly in this situation, and I started to see, wow, they just did bluff a lot in these spots. So definitely cool thing for me. Uh, other things, I think like triple barrel for me. I always felt small versus big blind they're just lacking bluffs, and that's like correct. And when you see like they're lacking bluffs, because basically all the play for my pool, and this is like mid stakes pool on the poker stars, they have bluffs on the flop and turn across all lines. They are decent in that spot. Turn is a lot less, but still decent. And across all the rivers, they're just nitty, and you shouldn't be rewarding their nittiness, because there's no worse feeling in poker when you reward someone for playing real tight and you just like call them light. You call their triple barrels in forward pots with like even like with good hands, on like ace xx on the king xx, and they never bluff. And you have like king 10 suited, you have king jack suited. Just think about against this type of regs, and we will in the future I will make videos only about regs when you're just gonna use like a pool of regs, and we see how nitty they are, because in this pool actually you have a lot of whales and fishes that are all mixed together. And when you just think when we go just into the reg section and you see how many of them, like 90%, how nitty they are in these spots, and you actually identify these spots, identify these boards when they're nitty, uh, to award that nittiness, it's like for me the worst feeling of all, because if somebody is playing like that, you need to exploit them massively by overfolding, and that is something I didn't done. And I mean, my style of play is really I like to play aggressive. I like to put a lot of pressure, and I just feel that people play back at me and they try to play back at me, but there's a players that will never get like play back at you without a hand, and I just acknowledge that in many spots they will always have it. And when you go through these spots and we actually see through boards, through sample, that you actually see that they are not bluffing in this situation, just knowing that can give you high edge on them and high edge on the pool, because in the situation there, where you don't even have sample, you will just know, okay, pool is doing that, I can just overfold these spots. uh, Thank you for your time. Next time we'll go big blind versus small blind, um, and then we will get back to the imposition cbet. uh, Thank you guys, and if you like this concept again, I would appreciate you give a thumbs up, rate it, so we can grow the channel up. And in the future I will make a lot of videos like that. I will also put my live session of play. I also plan to make few streams in these next days, so follow the channel, follow. You're welcome to join my Discord, where you will get all the informations. You can be part of giveaways, you can talk about strategy. We have now like 250 guys, a lot of mid stakes to high stake players. We have a lot of crushers, players that are crushing the game, and they will just we talk we are always talking about the hands, about the strategy, and it's not like a pure talk about like basic strategy. We are giving you like, I'm always explaining my in-depth strategy, really advanced stuff, because when you put like a GTO bot in, and the guys that use like RTA, they didn't make like a big win rate. I mean, I have almost 10 BBs on Poker Stars on mid stakes, and you get win rate from exploits. And the the massive you get the massive you do this exploit and you do it really good, it's going to boost your win rate. So we are always talking about this situation, how you can do really advanced and exceptional play, where you can just like exploit the players that are doing really something wrong. They are like nitty, they are not bluffing, they are like over bluffing, not bluffing. You can exploit all these sorts of players. Um, Sorry about that if I did like too many talking about this, but I just wanted to say you're welcome to join the Discord, and yeah, let's get better together. See you guys real soon. Bye.